Hey guys, my name is Nicolette Mashile. I'm also known as the Financial Bunny. Welcome to the Financial Bunny TV. And today we're talking about credit life insurance. I know some of you might have heard it, might have never heard the word, and some of you might just not know totally what is credit life insurance. Well, it's a very interesting one because I think a lot of us do have it, and sometimes we don't actually even know that we've got the policy. But if you go through your bank statements, you might just find that somebody is debiting you. It may seem like a small amount of money. For some, it may be quite a substantial amount of money, but it is an insurance policy that assists you when it comes to your debt. What does this actually mean? Let's say, for instance, and it happened quite a lot during the lockdown, or the hard lockdown, when the economy slowed down, and unfortunately, some people did lose their jobs. And you find yourself in a situation where you've lost your job and now you can't honor your credit agreements. When I talk about credit agreements, of course, I'm talking about your debt. So now you can't pay month to month as you were able to when you were deriving an income. You were being paid an actual salary. So what happens to you now? Now you sit at home and you start worrying because you're thinking, uh-oh, my car's gonna come get repossessed. My loan is gonna go into arrears. What do I do? If you do have credit life insurance, it will then pay out, right? So when does it actually pay out? Let's maybe start and deal with that before we get into all the nitty-gritties about what credit life insurance actually is. It will pay out generally when there is a death. So the person who is on the credit agreement passes on, it will settle that debt. It will also do the same thing if there is a permanent disability. However, there are instances, and now you've got to go back and read your policy documents. Your credit life insurance can pay up to 12 months if you are retrenched or there is a temporary disability. It can step in and help you pay up until you are able to be back on your feet and you are able to pay and honor your own credit agreements. Now, often what we are seeing is that the banks, who are the guys generally, because when you go and take out a loan, most of us, we end up going to the banks, right? What happens is that the banks, number one, do not tell people about credit life insurance. They just make an assumption that people know, so they add it on as part of your credit agreement. That's number one. Number two, they do not tell consumers that they've got the right to go and shop around like you would for any other insurance policy. Can you imagine if you are going to the bank to go and borrow money to buy a car, and then they are the ones who also want to give you an insurance policy over and above that, and now they're telling you, no, you can't go and shop for another one, or they'll just simply say, if you don't take our insurance policy, then you can't get the credit. That is not the reality of what's happening in South Africa. The reality is, it is your consumer right as enshrined by the National Credit Act. You have that right to be able to say to the bank, you know what? Hold on, I want to go and shop for my own credit life insurance policy. Of course you want to shop around for one that speaks to your needs, your financial needs, and your lifestyle needs. And probably specifically, you want to shop around for a credit life insurance policy that when your debt or your outstanding amount that you owe decreases, so does the premium. And it should be easy, because I'm just sitting here thinking, when I go out there and I'm going to look for a new insurance policy, whether it is for my laptop, whether it's for my house, whether it's for my car, I literally go and shop around. I pick up the phone, I tell my current service provider, hello, I would like to change my insurance policy, and then they need to cancel it, and I pick up on a new one. But now what happens at the banks? And that's what we're here to talk about. And we want to make sure that, Luwe, now, when you are done watching this video and you feel that, you know what, actually, I need to do an evaluation on my credit life insurance policies, you have all the information and the right information, and you know exactly what your rights are. So we've got opportunity to speak to a gentleman. His name is Thabiso Mokoena, who has gone through this process where he found out that he's got credit life insurance policies. He wanted to get a better deal with a different service provider. He called the bank and said, listen, I want to change my credit life insurance policies to a different service providers. And then, of course, Bamofile ran around. Let's hear his story. Thabiso, how are you doing? Thabiso, hello.
Hi, Nicolette.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm all good. How are you, Nicolette?
I'm great, thank you. I'm very happy and glad that you were able to have a conversation with us about, your experience with credit life insurance policy.
Yes.
Let's take it a couple of steps back and talk a little bit about when utsibile bianca this policy. How did you even get to know that there is such a thing as credit life insurance policy?
Okay, I was actually listening to one of the morning breakfast shows, and I had this guy talking on the phone. I mean, they came in to visit.
So is this now before you actually engage in having a credit agreement, or after you've already had the credit agreement?
That was after I've already engaged with the credit agreement.
Yes. Okay, very interesting. So now we are go banking, you realize, okay, you actually do have credit life insurance policies.
Yeah. So you see now with banks, they don't really give you that much of a room to sort of have that freedom to shop around. They don't really entertain that. So all they tell is that, okay, fine, you getting a loan with us, and then this is the credit life cover which you're gonna get, and that's it. You don't really get that space to sort of get that freedom to shop around.
I'm thinking even, Tabiso, it would be difficult to shop around if I would say it's one of the covers that you've been given, or you don't really know the benefit of the cover. Because as you are saying, you only got curious after you were already taken up these credit agreements.
Yes, I guess it's just one of those things where we don't really look into. I think that a lot of people started getting curious now since we had this pandemic, and a lot of people started losing jobs and all that. So, and there was that thing. I think a lot of banks were entertaining this what do you call it? Holiday.
Payment holidays.
Yeah, payment holiday. Yes, sorry, thanks. They never really entertained the fact that you can actually get. You can use your credit life cover to, instead of getting the holiday gap anyway.
So now you find out on this policy across the credit agreements. What makes you want to change from the bank one, the one the bank has issued you with?
I wanted to change it because with this one which I heard about, you that amount, it's not really fixed.
Yes.
With banks, it's fixed.
Yes.
Throughout the whole period of your loan. But then with this one, as you pay, the credit life premium as well goes down.
Exactly.
So that's when I realized, okay, so I can make some savings if I start moving into this one.
Kirata, that emphasis on the fact that because if bari this cover covers koloto, mara every month khwedi ka khwedi upatana le skoloto sa gago, so surely then the amount that you're paying should also decrease because the amount you owe is decreasing.
Yes, that's true. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, for the premiums on the credit life cover to decrease as well.
Okay, so I'm going to shop around for a new car insurance. I simply go on the internet, I find a new car insurance policy, I call my insurance policy or the insurance company, guys, call the next ones, guys, can you give me a quote? And I get a new insurance policy. How easy was it for you to move from the bank insurance policy to this new service provider? What happened?
It took forever.
Why?
Yeah, it took forever. I think it's almost 6 months or so.
Sure.
So, yeah. So, what they do is they'll just give you a runaround. I think the aim is for you to discourage you to move from them to the other company. So it took forever, and according to the National Credit Act, it should take them at least 30 days.
Exactly.
Yes, but then they delay the whole process. They delayed as much as they can for you to get discouraged.
Imagine being frustrated until you give up. And I can imagine that, I mean, we live in a country where there are people who unfortunately might not have the resources to keep going back and trying and trying and trying. But also on the other hand, we've got people that are very busy. You know, I should be able to pick up the phone, change my insurance policy and move on with my life. So when I mean, what extent did you have to go to for you to get this thing done?
It was rushing all back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, up until the company that I'm with now, they sort of realized that, okay, these guys are using a delay tactic. They are using delay tactics for me to, or for us to give us. So what happened is they took the matter to the NCR.
Okay.
Yeah. After when that happened, that's when we started seeing some movement from their side. So I would actually advise anyone, because it shouldn't take more than 30 days.
Yes.
If it takes more than 30 days, they should actually try to, or actually they should contact the NCR. They will get, I will have to have enough evidence on my side that
it's about to run around.
Yeah, the other party is refusing to cancel my case life from their side. So I would say on my side, email anything that is written down from my side, or that interaction between me and them.
Yes.
It sort of helps to build enough evidence for a case to be stronger, even though it's not even supposed to get into that extent whereby we need to collect evidence and all that. So yeah, that helped me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what recourse did you get from the National Credit Regulator?
Recourse meaning?
Ba le thusitse ka eng?
Well, obviously they are there to protect the public against anyone who is trying to use malicious ways to profit. So they were there as people who can, mediate the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that fairness is seen across all parties.
Listening to your experience, I'm just sitting here thinking it's such a naughty thing, because the banks know what the law is in this country, and more than anybody else in the country who should know the law, it is them. And I'm just thinking of all the other people in the country that they've already disadvantaged, who have lost their savings, simply from people that are being lackluster about a process of changing an insurance policy. What would you like to see happen around issue this credit life insurance policy?
I would like to see more advertisements from the other parties, so meaning companies like Yalu. I think they should maybe educate more people out there, because a lot of people are not aware of this.
Yeah.
And as soon as they see it on TV, then they'll start realize that, okay, we are getting milked out on our funds. So I think more visibility from the other guys and more education to sort of teach people that this is what's happening and be aware. Yes.
Oh, all right. No, thank you so much. And it's really been it's been great speaking to you, and I'm very glad that you got a positive outcome.
No, thank you so much. You're welcome.
Have a good one. I'm sitting here flabbergasted. I'm literally sitting here as a South African consumer who's asking herself the question, how is it possible that in a country where you've got the National Credit Act and the financial institutions, including the banks, are supposed to abide by the law, they seem to want to run around the law. They want to do this around the law. And I'm very happy to know that there are consumers like Mr. Mokoena who are able to take on these big corporations, because banks are really big corporations. And you remember, I always talk about our relationship that we have as consumers with banks. Usually, when we're distressed, usually we go to them begging. But the reality is that banks need its consumers as much as the consumers need banks in the economy. Therefore, it is then important that banks stay ethical. Number one, they need to stay ethical. Number two, they need to stay legal. But number three, also, they need to work within the interest of the consumer. And if changing your credit life insurance policy is something that is within the interest, guys, come on. We've seen the economy in this country. It really has shrunk. This is not the time where people can just be spending money left, right, center, just because somebody else wants to give you the runaround when you are exercising your own right. But maybe perhaps you're saying, but Nicolette, how much is credit life insurance really that now people need to be fighting about changing? Hela, remember, the first rule of money is not to lose money. So if you're not losing money, you need to make sure that you are getting all the savings that you deserve. And I say this because the credit life insurance policy, the fees are actually regulated. Right now, it is R4.50 for per every 1,000 Rand that you have borrowed. But of course, this only is for all credit life insurance or credit agreements that you might have taken after August 2017 when the law was passed. So anybody else who has credit agreements that come prior to that date might actually be paying quite a big amount of money. And I think what's crazy is also what Tabiso really highlighted is the fact that when you're busy, you are paying. The amount that you owe is going down. But they're back at the ranch, they're still charging you as if you still owe that same amount of money. Can you imagine you've bought yourself a car at 300,000? You are paying credit life insurance on an outstanding amount of 300,000. But every month you are paying for 5 years when our patela, but it's not going down. That doesn't make any sense to me. So it is quite exciting for me as the financial bunny to be able to see that there are people like Tabiso Mokoena who really do understand their consumer rights, but only after doing the right research and finding companies like Yalu. Because these are the companies that we need to come and step into South Africa, first and foremost, not only within the financial services sector, but within the consumer financial education space. Because many people, as I said in the beginning, are not aware of this credit life insurance policy. That's number one. But two, understanding that there is a financial services provider like Yalu that is willing to work with you, work with your budget, work with the situation that we're currently facing in South Africa, where we all have to tighten our belts to ensure that not only do they facilitate giving you the right savings that you deserve simply because the outstanding amount of money is being decreased, but they also assist you in facilitating the entire process if you are finding yourself in a situation where the bank is just not willing to play ball with you. That for me is really exciting. And I think it's important that you as a consumer remember all these things every single time. But of course, you know that while we do this, we also need to make sure we bring in the education. Remember that your credit life insurance policy, ayitlo into your bank account. So I expect that money is going to land in your bank account, because I know my people, like sometimes we've got to protect ourselves from ourselves. We need to ensure that if it is an insurance policy that pays so that it settles your debt, it does exactly that. So that you don't find yourself in a situation where either one, you are leaving your family destitute because now they can't settle the car, koloi se ya repossesswa. Or you don't find yourself in a situation where you are a job seeker and you're currently looking for a job, but you gotta worry about Sukoloto. So move a from one address to another address because bank is address A1 and koloi. You need to ensure that you do know that this insurance policy is there. And you've got to remember that it's got to be up to date. Your premiums have to be up to date for it to actually pay out. And just to remind you again, credit life insurance policy is an insurance policy just like any other. In other words, you have the right, it is your right to go and shop around for the one that is really suitable for your needs, your budget, and your lifestyle. You do not have to take the one that the bank offers you. If you take anything else out of this video, this is the one thing that I would want you to please take out. It is your right to go and choose the credit life insurance policy that you want. And if you find that you are not getting the positive response from the bank that currently has or offers you the credit life insurance policy, please make sure that you go to the NCR and lodge your complaint. But as Tabiso also advised, it is important to make sure that you've got all the communication that you had with the bank to show the NCR that you have attempted, and even the 30 days which this thing is supposed to be done has already lapsed. Now, if you are finding that, NCR they will be able to assist you in the entire process of actually putting in the application and sending it to NCR and making sure that you do. And I'm sure that, and I'm putting them now on the spot, I'm sure they will even be able to give you the update to what is happening. The onus is on you, because it is also your responsibility. At the end of the day, so you need to make sure that you are responsible and you are in control of your own money. So these guys are here to assist you. But what's beautiful is that they don't stop there. They don't only just help you in making sure that you can now facilitate the move from the bank's credit life insurance policy to the one that you want. They do offer credit life insurance policy that for me really makes sense. Because for me, if it's not decreasing, it doesn't make sense that I keep paying for an outstanding balance that is no longer there. So what exactly am I actually insuring if the outstanding balance is no longer what it used to be 3, 4, 5 years ago? That for me is really important. So I do urge you right now to ensure that, one, you go through your bank statements and find out whether or not you are paying credit life insurance policy. How much are you paying? Because sometimes that amount is not independent on your bank statement. Sometimes it's part of the debit order that goes off as part of this skoloto that you are paying. So make sure you break down that skoloto amount and know exactly what it is that you're paying for. In other instances, you may find that it is on your bank statement. So, number one, do you have credit life insurance? Because it is an important insurance policy to have. But although it is important for you to make sure that you are being very smart about it and you're not paying more than you should be paying. So that's number one. Let's go through our bank statements. Number two, read your credit agreements. Read the credit agreement and also read the credit life insurance policy document. Guys, it is time for us to start reading, because if you don't know, you actually don't have it, to be quite honest. If you don't know what is going on, it means that you don't know you have it, because the day you're going to need it, you won't even know that it can actually assist you. So make sure that you actually go through it. Number 3 or 2, wherever we are, because I know you guys are following, make sure that you are being savvy about your finances. And one way to be savvy is to finding and really partnering with the right financial services providers that can assist you.